Hello everyone and welcome once again to Sparkling Autos. So the day is finally here, one of the most eagerly anticipated detailing products this autumn, possibly even this year in the UK detailing scene, is Garage Therapy's one Snowfoam. Now, as regulars to the channel will already be aware, I was very lucky to be involved in the development of this product. Not so much involved in the development, but certainly testing the various variants of it over the last few months. And I'm absolutely delighted that Garage Therapy have sent me as a thank you a 5-litre drum of the new product, along with a couple of other products, their new wash mitt, wheel wash mitt, and version 2 of their one car shampoo. So I decided on this occasion not to waste any time, get stuck straight into using the products, get it recorded, and get a video up for everybody else to see. So without further ado, let's get on with it. So as with any pre-wash product, dilutions are going to be based on circumstances, so whether the car has a good level of protection, whatever the dirt level is, whether it's extremely dirty or it just needs a quick maintenance clean, you're going to dilute the product accordingly. So for this first wash, I'm using 50ml of product to 450ml of water, which obviously makes a 500ml solution. Now that we're all set up, let's take a quick look at the car and see exactly what we're dealing with. And as you can see, there's nothing too serious. It's a bit of light dirt and road muck. It's only been a few days we're stuck to the car. A bit of roadworks, nothing major, nothing overly concerning. Just exactly what you would expect to pick up driving around for a week at this time of year. Also, the car has a decent amount of protection on it, recently applied, so that's why we're going with a very weak solution. The weakest solution that Garage Therapy recommend for the Snowfoam. And yes, those front tyres really are that dodgy and need replaced. New boots are ordered and they're being fitted next week. Same story at the back end of the car then, just that sort of sand, loose dust, muck, even the tyres covered in it a bit. But when you go around to the tail end, because there's a big overhang here with it being a large hatchback, you don't get too much at the back end of the car, it's mostly just up the sides behind the wheels. So that's enough waffling from me about this. Let's get the hose out, we'll get it rinsed off and see where we take it from there. Always a good idea to do a good thorough pre-rinse before you use any chemicals in the car. Largely because a lot of the dirt can be removed with water pressure anyway, which means you can keep your dilutions down and therefore save yourself some money. And another benefit, certainly in the position I'm in here, is when you're testing products, you don't know how good the product is. If you're just testing it on dirt, that would have come off with normal water pressure anyway. And as you're about to see with the YouTube industry standard white cotton pad swipe test, even after giving a good thorough pre-rinse where the car looks reasonably clean, there's still a lot of dirt coming off the bodywork. So we'll go in with the Snowfoam and see exactly what difference that makes. And also this time we'll remember to fit our detail guards in the front wheels to stop the hose snagging, which it did on the way round during the pre-rip. Are we good to go now? We're good. So regular viewers may be used to my particular method of applying Snowfoam by now. I'm not one to go back and forth over it, layering it on top of each other, because that has absolutely no benefit. All you're doing is laying bubbles on top of bubbles. It's only the stuff in contact with the actual bodywork that's doing any work. So you just want to get it on in one even layer across the whole car as quickly and evenly as you can. I probably should have warned people to wear sunglasses at this stage, apologies for the brightness of the foam. But as you can see, it went on in a good even thick layer. And while it's dwelling then, I'm going to empty the unused product out of the lance and give it a good rinse out. Now as you'll see here, I've roughly 100ml left, which means I only used 400ml to cover the entire car. Which is a completely irrelevant point, but I just thought I'd throw it in there. So while the foam's dwelling here, I'll talk about it and how it compares with the development versions I used. So in terms of dwell time, it's on a par with what I was using, certainly in the latter versions, which as you can see here, you're going to get about 5-6 minutes before you really need to consider rinsing it off. The foam itself on application was quite thick. It thinned out pretty quickly, but not thin to the point where it was just dripping off the car and disappearing. It still has hung around. As you can see, this is now 6 minutes later before I'm starting to rinse it off. And in terms of cleaning power, well, we'll come to that in a couple of minutes. one of my favourite things about the development versions was just how easily they rinsed off the car, and I'm glad to say that this one doesn't disappoint in that regard. As you can see here, it rinses off just as easily. It doesn't leave any mess on the driveway whatsoever. I know some people like the thick, gimmicky, maybe pink, green, yellow, orange, blue foams, whatever colour they come in these days, but they're not for me, and this is very much the type of foam that I prefer to use. Because if it doesn't serve any purpose, I don't see any point in spending £10 on a litre or something to spray on the car and rinse it off. If I want entertainment, I'll sit down and put on Netflix. And don't be afraid when you're rinsing the car off to go around it 2 or 3 times, just make sure you do get all the solution off. Particularly around the likes of your gaps, your door seals, etc. Give those areas a good thorough rinsing just to make sure that you do flush all that product out of there. And even then, when I'm satisfied and finished, I'll still give another rinse from the roof down again. So apologies if anybody's going to get a bit seasick here, but I just want to bring the camera around, bring it in a bit closer to see exactly what the Snowfoam has done, what effect it's had on the car and how well it's rinsed off. So as you can see here looking at the bodywork, yes it's still wet, which does deceive. It can make it look a lot cleaner than it actually is. There's the tyres still looking good with the tire serum on them. But as we move around the rest of the car, you can see that surface dust, there certainly looks to have been lifted. Now we know from the swipe test that obviously pre-rinsing didn't lift all the dirt off the car, but we knew that was going to be the case anyway. But what I can tell looking at this is that visually there's a massive improvement. Any of that surface dust and dirt that was there beforehand definitely seems to have been lifted. But there's only one way to find out for certain if this product still has the cleaning power it did when I tested the development versions. So let's park the camera back and we'll do another swipe test. So I'm going to test it on the same area, obviously not exactly the same patch. I'm just going to go slightly behind where we were the first time and we'll take a look and compare the two samples. So give me a second just to get the camera into focus, and as you can see here, there we go, that there's practically nothing on there. There's still a few little bits of dirt, which obviously there's going to be. There's no such thing as a contactless wash. It doesn't work, we all know that. But look at the difference between the two pads. So I'm happy to conclude from that the cleaning power is still there, just as it was with the development versions. Tougher tests to come in the future, but for now it's looking good. So now I'm just going to start the car and dry all that water out of the exhaust before we move on to the wash stage. Moving on then to version 2 of Garage Therapy's One Car Shampoo. To start with, as recommended, we're adding 20ml of the product to a large bucket of water. Warm water in the bucket initially, which I'm then going to top up with cold water from the pressure washer. Not really sure why I'm telling you this, I feel like I'm just trying to fill in a gap. Making sure to get all the solution into the hot water there before I dip the pressure washer in and agitate it, creating the suds. I do think I could have sped the video up a few seconds here, but if you knew my editing process, you'd know I would just mess everything up. So bear with me a second and we'll just move on to a giant suds explosion. And I think that answers the question of, does this product produce suds? Before moving on to the bodywork, I want to give the four wheels a quick once over, just the wheel faces, because I want to test out the new Garage Therapy wheel mitt that they sent over. So I've coated the wheel with the Garage Therapy 1 wheel shampoo in the IK foamer, diluted roughly 15ml in a total solution of 1 litre. I then proceeded to try to figure out how to put my hand into the mitt, as you have a choice of 3 fingers in one hole and 1 in the other, or 2 and 2. There's then a little loop which I assumed was for hanging it up, but I also thought, well, if I put my thumb in there, that's going to make it less likely to fall off my hand when I'm washing the wheel and rinsing the mitt out. So So on we go then with the wheel face, and I must say, initial impressions of this mitt were actually very good. The stitching on the side of it's stiff to the point where you can get into the wee corners, but not too stiff where you think you're going to cause any damage. And the surface is so soft, it's good for doing the faces, and you can give the tires a quick once over. I also found that when you finish with it, you rinse it out, it actually becomes a nice little hat for the IK foamer. Makes him look like a little Russian. Ivan the foamer, but we'll move him out of the way so he doesn't get knocked over. There we go, wheel face is done. I'm very impressed. Moving on now to the big brother then, the GT wash pad. So this big boy is a whopping 23cm by 23cm, or in old money 8 by 8 inches give or take, and probably another 1.5 inches thick. So as you can imagine, it holds an awful lot of wash solution. Now I won't lie, from this was first released, I've always thought it's too big, it's not my cup of tea, and there was an absolutely no rush to go out and buy one. But I went into this with an open mind, and to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of glad I did. Now I'm still on the fence to an extent, but I think because it does hold so much, and it has a bit of weight and certain firmness to it, you don't feel like it's going to fall. Which is my biggest worry, was dropping the thing. What it does do, and it does it very well, is make you conscious of just how much pressure you're putting on the panels. Because obviously, the more pressure you put on, the more risk you are of marring your paintwork. Now on your horizontal panels, that's absolutely fine, your roof and your bonnet. But when it comes to the verticals, there still is that risk of dropping it. I don't think it's the sort of pad that I would be flipping with just the same confidence that I would with the normal pads. But having said that, when you lift it out of the bucket, if you give it kind of like a half ring out, it's actually a lot more pleasant to use than I was expecting. Now I'm not sold just yet, I'd need to use it a few more times to really get the hang of it. But I can see why it would suit some people's methods for washing the car. Whether it suits mine or not, I'm not really sure yet. As I say, I'm still on the fence, but I'm not rolling it out. But I'm not going to sit here and say it's brilliant when I don't instantly think it's brilliant. I'm here to give an honest appraisal of products, and at the minute, I'm genuinely still on the fence with this one. But I can see how it would suit some people, and I do see the benefit of using it, certainly in terms of improving your technique. But when I said about flipping the pad, yeah, I lied, of course I'm going to flip it. But it might take me a wash or two to build up the confidence to do the one-handed flip, and we'll leave it at that. As for the shampoo itself, it's hard to actually judge because I was using the new mitt, but it certainly suited up very well and felt very, very slick under the pad. Did everything I expected, and as you're about to see, rinses off the car very well indeed. So as you would expect, version 2 of what was already a fantastic car shampoo performs exactly as you would expect. If you've used version 1, you're going to like this one. We're almost done then, you'll be glad to hear, so I'm just going around to quickly dry off the car before I apply a little bit of protection with Guardz Therapy 2 QD, top up the tire serum and finish off the glass with Guardz Therapy 1 glass, funny enough. The final 3 products then I'm using in this video aren't really part of the review as such, but they're products that you would generally include in your normal maintenance routine, particularly if you're sticking with the Guardz Therapy brand. So for the bodywork, I'm using the 2 Quick Detailer, which works brilliantly in conjunction with the 2 Sigma. But even if you don't have Sigma on the car, which I actually don't on this one, it still works brilliantly as a standalone Quick Detailer. And as you can see here, it's very easy to use. 2 or 3 sprays on a panel, spread it over with a low pile microfiber cloth, and then either use a fresh high pile one to buff it off, or even just the dry side of your application cloth. It leaves a nice slick finish, and it also beads up very well. As for the glass, well, that's going to be an obvious product. It's Guardz Therapy 1 glass. I am genuinely a massive fan of this product, so much so that I've actually just gone and purchased 5 litres of it, and I've never purchased 5 litres of a glass cleaner in my life. If you haven't tried this yet, I strongly urge you to go and do so. finally the tire serum. So I've been applying tire serum to these tires now for going on now about 8 months. Now I do have a long term video coming up on it very shortly. In fact, it's almost finished the editing process, one of those long ones that takes me forever. So I'll not say too much about the product for now. I'll just throw in that I'm applying it with a sponge applicator I bought from County Detail, and this one's called the Mammoth Square-tastic Tire Dressing Applicator. It cost me $2.99 and I've been using it now for 8 months. I know some people prefer brushes. I think it's just whatever suits your own methods. Now, these tires are now at the stage they only need one coat of this, maybe every other wash. So I apply it, leave it for about 10 minutes and then buff off the excess. But one thing I do straight away, which I would highlight, is to wipe any excess off the wheels. Sometimes if you leave it on a bit too long, it can stay. And if that happens, a bit of tar and glue remover will get it off your wheels. But it's best to avoid it if you can in the first place, and just wipe it off straight away. And there we go. That is the car washed and dressed. There we are then. So I've no finished shots unfortunately due to a corrupted SIM card. I don't want to go into it, but we'll leave it at that. As for the products, initial impressions of the Snowfoam are exactly as I expected, based on the development versions I had used. I'm looking forward to trying it at a stronger ratio on a much sturdier car with no protection on it. V2 of the Shampoo did not disappoint in any way, shape or form, as I didn't think it would do. And as for the 2 wash pads, the wheel pad is excellent. I'm looking forward to using that again. And the bigger pad, as I've said, I'm still on the fence, but I am willing to give it another go. I do definitely see the advantage of using it, and if your technique suits it, I think it'd be a very good pad to use. And that's it really. I have nothing else to add at this stage other than to thank Maz and Roger from Guardz Therapy for giving me the opportunity to be involved in the process and for sending me the final products over to test. And again, to thank you all for watching. Thanks very much and take care.